Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Jans Report. Today's video will be about the West's views towards the domestic policies of the Trudeaus. I wanted to create this video to educate people who might think that the Trudeaus are Canada's Kennedys and respected by pretty much everyone. Also, I will go into detail how their best intentions ended up alienating them. Now let's get to business and talk about Pierre Elliott Trudeau and a little about his history before talking about his son, Justin, and the similar policy they have towards the West. Pierre Elliott Trudeau, one of Canada's longest-serving prime ministers, took power in 1968 and would lead the nation until 1979, where he would lose the election to upcoming leader of the Progressive Conservatives, Joe Clark. Pierre is considered by most to be a visionary and dreamed of an economically viable Canada that protected its markets. However, this policy of Canada First would also be the end of his career. In the early 1970s, the Canadian economy was very protectionist and did not allow for a lot of foreign investment, a policy that Pierre Elliott Trudeau continued. Under the leadership of Trudeau, Canada faced rapid inflation, and the Liberal government pursued a Canada First policy. One of the things introduced was the National Energy Program, which was to allow the government to have control over the price of gas. Unfortunately, this also came with a huge cost in that it hurt the private oil industry, which began to lay off its workers. The effects of the National Energy Program were felt in the province of Alberta, where a famous quote would be developed, which was, "Let those eastern bastards freeze in the dark," is what one person from Alberta would say, and later echoed by Ralph Klein, who would later become the Premier of Alberta. This quote really reflects the opinion that Albertans have on the Liberal government, and that unemployment rose in Alberta from 4% up to 10%, and of course, funneled money out of Alberta and into the East. The National Energy Program was, of course, later cancelled by a later Conservative government. Another thing that Pierre Elliott Trudeau did to alienate the West was to raise his middle finger at some protesters while touring in a railway car in British Columbia. The incident caused outrage across the West that he had done something like this, and on the way back to Ontario, Westerners came out and threw food at the railway car. Today, the railway car sits restored in a museum located at the Three Valley Gap Lake Chateau, which you can visit today and get pictures with the famous railway car. As for his son, Justin Trudeau, we will see him follow his father's footsteps and make the same mistakes. Justin Trudeau, elected in 2015, originally supported the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion and even used federal funds to finance the project. However, he backtracked on that idea idea after protesters in BC, mainly Indigenous people in BC, specifically from the Wet'suwet'en First Nation, began to protest the expansion of the pipeline. Naturally, the protesters thought the government was not listening to them and called on other people of Canada to block important infrastructure which crippled the Canadian economy. This, of course, upset the province of Alberta, whose main resource is the supply of oil to global markets, and caused the province to lose out on potential income it could have gained from the selling of oil. To make matters worse for the oil sector in Canada, the Trudeau government passed the oil tanker ban, or Bill C-48, which limits tanker traffic that comes into British Columbia. To put even more salt in the wound to the oil sector, Justin Trudeau implemented a national carbon tax, the same issue that cost Rachel Notley, the head of the NDP government who controlled the province of Alberta, lost the election in 2019. Well, it seems that Justin and his father before him had intentions to make Canada better. They did so at great cost to Western Canada, specifically to the prairie provinces where his name is greatly despised. I now leave you to contemplate, how does a man manage to float over his bed? If you like the content published on this channel, hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on to be the first alerted to when a new video goes live. Also, if you have a suggestion for a subject you want to see on this channel, leave a comment below or visit our Facebook page and leave a comment on it. The link to the Jan's Report Facebook page is located down below the description of this video. I will see you on the next Jan's Report.